Last time on Deconverted Man! Fucking frog! And now, for part 2.
No, 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 no.
Before I begin, it's important to note that the person or group that produces any given argument is wholly irrelevant to the contents of the argument. An argument may be valid even if presented by a known liar. What's important is to analyze the argument and not the person or group that's making it. Having said that, I will now take a look at the person that is making this argument and make fun of him because it's funny. But don't worry, I'll get to the argument itself as well. At some point, Faith and Reason decided to hide all the comments on his video. Later, he restored the comments on his videos, but I think they are in by approval only mode, or perhaps it's that one particular YouTuber is hidden from his channel. I don't know why I would be hidden from his channel. Why is it that I am unable to post comments on his channel? Is it because I made a video that completely and utterly annihilated his video and he doesn't want his viewers to find that out? Nah, that can't be it, because he has said in another video that he wants open and honest discussion. I don't really think he does want open and honest discussion, given that he's hiding me from his channel, but that's what he said. He also said don't make fun of people, but then he made fun of somebody because he made fun of him first. So it's okay to make fun of somebody once they make fun of you. Forget the whole turn the other cheek thing. That doesn't apply to him. At any rate, it doesn't matter what this guy does or doesn't do with his comment section, and it doesn't matter if he's a hypocrite or not, and it doesn't matter whether he's a coward who can't possibly stand up to actual critique of his argumentation that sucks so badly that it's not even funny. None of that matters. The person doesn't matter at all. What matters is the argument. If only he had a valid and sound argument. He doesn't. He doesn't have a valid and sound argument. And now I'm going to point that out in excruciating detail. Thanks for watching.
Hi guys, this is Faith and Reason. I'm making this video as a follow-up to my previous video because many people just completely misunderstood what I was saying.
Oh no, they understood what you were saying. What you were saying was just simply wrong and incoherent.
So firstly, although claims are evidence, that doesn't mean they are conclusive. A lot of people in the comments asked if I meant that we should just believe something just because someone claims it.
No, and the entire content of my first rebuttal video was to point out over and over again that claims are not evidence at all in any way, shape, or form, and that every single thing that's out there that you could possibly find online will disagree with you. And these things that are found online are not just coming from random blogs or whatnot. They're coming from educational resources. They're coming from professionals. They're coming from people in the know that are saying, look, claims aren't evidence. This is what a claim is. This is what evidence is. If you look at a dictionary, you can see the two words do not equal each other. If you go by the common understanding of what the word evidence is and the common understanding of what a claim is, these two are not the same. It's only when you equivocate the word do they merge together, which is all you're doing. In fact, your diagram here disproves your entire point that you're trying to make. You're saying that claims or evidence is not equal to claims or proof, which would mean that evidence is not proof. Of course, claims are not strong evidence. I don't see the difference between strong and weak evidence in the way that you see evidence in that way. I think that evidence is just evidence and that there is no strong or weak evidence. There's just evidence. It's whether we understand that evidence or not that might be in question. When looking at definitions for the word evidence, we can see that there's no real room for the idea of strong or weak evidence, at least in this particular version of evidence. So you'd have to provide some examples of evidence being strong or weak so that we know what you're talking about. But that would require research. Link 1 in the description will lead you to this website that will teach you about claims, evidence, and reasoning, separating evidence from the claim, because a claim isn't the same as the evidence itself. It's almost like that you're wrong still.
My answer is, of course, no, not necessarily. There's a big difference between evidence and sufficient evidence. A claim, in many cases, might be very weak evidence, and it's therefore not sufficient to justify belief that the claim is true.
Because a claim is not evidence. A claim by itself isn't evidence. I don't know what else to say. I'm just repeating myself at this point. Claim isn't evidence. Stop saying that claim's evidence when it's not evidence. It's not weak evidence. It's not a form of evidence. It's not evidence. Just stop. Stop.
A claim, in many cases, might be very weak evidence.
No, a claim is not any form of evidence.
And it's therefore not sufficient to justify belief that the claim is true. However, the fact that someone is claiming something about the external world certainly does raise its probability to some extent.
This, again, the same mistake that you did the first time? So is saying I'm a lobster 9,999 times in a row make it more likely that I'm a lobster than it did before I said that I was a lobster? Does that mean if I say that I'm not a lobster, that negates it? If I say there isn't a God 1,000,000 times, does that mean that it's now 1,000,000 times less likely that there's a God? How does this work?
And the thing is, since I define evidence as anything that raises or lowers the probability of something to any degree...
Okay, we're just going to notate what you think evidence is and put that here. Also, I find it interesting that you show us what Oxford Dictionary means by the word evidence, but you've decided to use a different version of evidence that isn't supported by Oxford. Is it supported anywhere, or is it just your version of this word?
Even something that only changes the probability by 0.000001% is still evidence.
If there is just one chance in 1,000,000 that this is true, it's worth believing. Far from raising the bar or the epistemic standard that Christianity must meet to be believed, I lower it.
Probability by 0.000001% is still evidence, even though it is extremely weak.
More like 1 out of 1,000,000.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Not all evidence is strong or conclusive, but even weak evidence is evidence nonetheless.
You mean claim, which is something that you're saying is to raise or lower the probability of something. So even a weak claim is something that could raise the probability even if it's weak. Wouldn't that lower the probability if it's weak, though? How does this work again?
Another thing I heard in the comments was that probability doesn't change. Something is either true or it's not. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding of the exercise here. The commenter is, of course, right that the facts don't change depending on our beliefs about them. However, given that we don't know all the facts, probabilities are tools for our mental faculties to make rational estimates about which things are more likely to be true. In fact, if the use of probabilities was truly useless, as this person was implying, then we wouldn't want to examine the evidence at all, as it would just be useless to us.
Okay, so probability apparently is a mental facility that we use to make rational estimates about what things are likely to be true. How do we decide what things are likely to be true? By using the probability, which is just in the mind, you see. And that's what allows us to decide if something is likely to be true. How do we do that? By thinking about it, of course. But how do we think about it? Just by thinking about it. No further explanation is needed. That's what a probability is. It's just your own brain thinking about whether it's likely true or not. How do you decide whether it's true or not? I told you, use your brain to decide whether it's true or not. Oh, you wanted a system? You wanted a methodology? Too bad! You don't get one!
This comment is essentially saying that beliefs can only be justified if they are known with absolute certainty.
Oh my word, the reminder text takes up half the screen now. Also, I'd love to see which comment you're referring to, but you did hide them for a while. They're back on now, but I don't know which comment you're talking about. It could be any one of these comments. Are you talking about the comment made by, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that in a million years, Marcius Kane 2889, who said claims are not evidence, but what are they evidence of? They are evidence that someone claims something to be true. They are not evidence for the subject of the claim. The evidence supporting the claim is what's relevant, not the claim itself. Also, a claim on its own doesn't increase the probability of anything that's true. A unicorn is not more likely to exist because someone claimed to have seen one. Is that the comment you're talking about? The one that I have screenshotted on screen right now so that you can clearly see what the bleep I'm talking about? I don't know. You didn't share the screenshot with us. Why is that? Is it so that you can perhaps misrepresent what the comment actually says so that we only have your version of the comment to rely upon? Nah, you wouldn't do something like that, would you? Oh wait, no, you probably would.
An idea which I utterly reject and which I think leads to absurdity when followed to its logical conclusion. Beliefs can be justified probabilistically, but knowledge requires certainty.
Alright, let's just go ahead and add that to the reminder text. Knowledge apparently means certainty, but a justified belief is not certainty. We don't know what justified belief means, but we know what it doesn't mean. Alright, let's just keep that there for a while. I might have to shrink it again, fit on the screen while you're talking about other things, showing other things.
Thus, evidence is useful for arriving at probabilistically justified beliefs.
Okay, so according to you, evidence is useful for arriving at probabilistic justified beliefs. Sure, but does that fit what you've said about what these words are? Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and take that sentence that you've uttered here and use the words that you've given us and what you think they mean to make a whole new sentence. We'll go ahead and replace evidence with claims because you said that that's the same. And then we'll go ahead and replace probabilistic with mental facilities. And we'll go ahead and replace justified belief with it can't be certain. So we now have claims are mental facilities that can lead to not certain. Sure, why not? Yeah, that almost is a sentence. So claims are just statements that can lead you to an uncertain conclusion because you don't have evidence. Funny that.
Another problem I saw in the comments was that people were simply denying that claims are evidence altogether in all cases.
Oh no, people are saying I'm wrong. Oh no, the horror. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe that's why they're saying that. I don't know, just an idea.
Of course, this is simply not tenable. If claims were not evidence, then all eyewitness testimony and criminal confessions would be completely useless.
Oh shit. Equivocation. Why? Because instead of using the word evidence as he established, we're not going to be talking about evidence as you might find in a courtroom, which has different versions of what evidence means, because in a courtroom, the word evidence means different things in different situations. We also have a false dichotomy. Either I'm right, or this terrible, horrible thing is true, which is the appeal to consequence. Well done. Well done. And let's go ahead and add that to the list of reminders. Evidence now equals eyewitness / criminal confessions. Why not?
Since eyewitness testimony and criminal confessions are in the form of claims. Then, the person would usually respond to that by saying that it was the testifier's proximity to the event.
Wait, what responder? Who responded to that? How do you know that they would usually respond to that in that way? You're not just using a straw man, are you? Wait, what? He is? Oh, okay.
Rather than their claim that served as evidence in these situations. But that's simply not true. You might have an eyewitness sitting on the stand. Even if they refuse to say anything, they still have proximity to the case and the events, and yet they can't help the case at all. It is only once they start making claims or testifying that they are providing evidence. Now, some might say that eyewitness statements and criminal confessions are often unreliable. That may be true, but even if we grant that, it doesn't change the fact that they are still evidence. If they weren't evidence, the police would just ignore them completely. However, they don't.
I shared this video with Sergeant Skeptic, who is a former sergeant. You know, a police officer, a detective. Yeah, he's done that stuff. He actually knows the lingo that they would use. So, I wanted to get his perspective on this video. And here's what he had to say. I do not disagree with the video comments, but the average police officer would react to this video by saying, "What the hell is this guy talking about?" Police officers do not use the words often used by Christians and skeptics. Police terms are exact and simple. A police officer would say, "A woman said her car was stolen." A police officer would never, ever, under any circumstances say, "A woman provided testimony her car was stolen." A police officer would not say, "I found some evidence at the scene." They would say, "I found a bullet at the scene." Thank you to Sergeant Skeptic.
When a confession or witness statement is made, the police examine these claims. If these claims had no evidential value whatsoever, they wouldn't investigate them. The very fact that the police investigate these claims show that they do have some evidential value. And of course, these claims could be false, they could be lies.
I'll get to analyzing this argument in a moment. But first, let me go ahead and bring up that reminder text and switch all the words you use to what they equal according to you, and see if the sentences still make sense. Okay, so claims are worthy of investigation, non-claim is unworthy of investigation, some evidences are worthy of investigation, if some evidences are worthy of investigation, some evidence are claims. If some evidence or claims, evidence aren't claims is false, therefore evidence aren't claims is false. Does it still work? Let me know in the comments. And now, it's time for the analysis of the argument. Premise 1. Evidence is worthy of investigation. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this as a premise. Premise 2. Non-evidence is unworthy of investigation. Also nothing wrong with this premise. Alone, this statement would be okay, but within the context of the argument itself, this is highly misleading. After all, you should also admit that some claims are not worthy of investigation. Well, you've done it now. You've created 3 logical fallacies: equivocation, non sequitur, and affirming the consequent. Well done! So you're equivocating on the word evidence all over the place and what it means, and some claims are evidence. That's what you're trying to say, is actually that all claims are evidence, not that some claims are evidence. But we're switching what evidence is all the time in this entire video. Let's bring up that list again, because I lost track of what evidence means now. So let's see. If some evidence is worthy of investigation, some evidence is claims, or is it if some eyewitnesses are worthy of investigation, some criminal confessions are evidence, and then that raises or lowers the probability. How does any of this work again? Oh well, anyways. This is also non sequitur because it doesn't follow from the previous premises at all. And also it's affirming the consequence, so it's in this format. Some claims are evidence, and some claims are worthy of investigation. Some claims are worthy of investigation, therefore some claims are evidence. If A, then B, B, therefore A. So, yeah, that's affirming the consequence. So, that, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
You lose! Good day, sir!
You see that word if there? That's a hypothetical that you would need to demonstrate to be true, which you would need then a valid and sound argument, which you don't have. So maybe you need to learn informal logic. Just saying. And then the conclusion does not follow. Why? Because premise 4. And so this isn't a justifiable statement and is a non sequitur. So in this particular argumentation, there are at least 4 logical fallacies: non sequitur, equivocation, and of course affirming the consequent, and finally another non sequitur. Given your illogical argumentation, we must be skeptical of your conclusion. But you have more video here. So much more. But we've already seen that you have zero idea what you're talking about. Look at how many things you think that the word claim and evidence mean, and then throw in what you think probability is, and all of this. It's just absolutely nonsense. So I think it's safe to conclude here. It's obvious that his argumentation is logically flawed, and thus we have to be skeptical of the conclusion. It's highly unlikely that he'll say something that repairs this magically somehow. And honestly, the rest of his video is probably just more equivocating of the word claim and evidence. So I don't really need to cover it. I mean, it's not like he's going to say something colossally stupid that will make me completely lose my mind, right?
If your child told you that someone was trying to break into your house, would you investigate? If your answer is yes, you have just admitted that your child's claim was evidence that increased the probability that your house was being broken into.
Ding 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 ding. This sad music you're hearing now, composed not by me, but an allude to the Incredible Hulk way, way back when. The music's called The Lonely Man. I can't put it in my video, or I will get striked like a hoe. So instead I'll sing this song and make it sad all day long. Ignore the words, they do not count. The logical fallacies they amount. I forget what I was even doing. Here's the fucking frog. Time to go screwy. What are you doing to that frog, decomforted man? Oh my god, are you gonna French kiss him? Here he goes. Now what the hell? They're gonna French kiss. Oh, my eyes cannot see it. Anyways, it's an argument from analogy, or false analogy. This analogy is completely and utterly broken, and I don't want to cover anything else. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Not necessarily in that order. If you're already subscribed, then please comment. If you did not yet comment, make sure to like. If you've already liked, then press the button. What button, you ask? Well, of course, the up button. Where's the up button? Well, the up button is down next to the Z button because Z is now 4. And of course, 4 is now ampersand. And ampersand is now equals. And up is actually left, and diagonals are purple. And the inverse square function of fucking frog!